Welcome to Questions for Designers, where we discuss the ideas, influences, and inspirations shaping creative work today. I'm your host, Max Beach, designer, educator, and advocate for the creative process. Each episode, I sit down with creative thinkers to explore how they see the world, what drives their work, and where they think design is headed next. In this episode, I talk with Fernando Del Rosario, creative director with ConceptZombie. Let's dive in. All right, Fernando, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
Can you introduce yourself briefly? Who are you and what do you do?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. You are one of my oldest and dearest friends. So any chance, any opportunity just to sit and just chat with you is really, really great. So being able to talk about creativity makes it even much more sweeter.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. So who am I? Okay, so my name is Fernando Del Rosario. I am a creative designer, business owner, entrepreneur, educator. Did I say artist already?
Kind of do it all.
Yeah, I've always been that guy. I've always loved being that guy in regards to being a creative, but not being pigeonholed to I'm just a designer or I'm just an art director.
Right.
So I love being able to explore the different facets of being a creative, whatever that might be. I've had the fortunate creative career as far as, having a lifetime within the marketing and advertising and design world, which we can talk more about that in a bit. So that was my career path is working with ad agencies, marketing firms, design studios, and along the way, picking up connections and opportunities to be other things like an artist, a gallery artist, or a writer, or a teacher.
Yeah. We've known each other for a really long time. I know a bit about your background and entry into design as an education and more formalized. Can you share a little bit about how it became part of your path?
Yeah. So I like to think that my creative story really started as a young person, young boy.
Yeah.
I was born in the Philippines. I came out here when I was 11. And so living in the Philippines in the first 11 years of my life was great. And part of what made it great is that I didn't know any better.
Right.
And that was my reality. That was my world. But living in the Philippines, of course, it's not. It has its limited resources, which really kind of fed my imagination and my creativity.
Of course.
I was. We were living in a modest house, but that didn't stop me imagining worlds, imagining the possibilities. I would literally create worlds in my backyard. Just because I would watch Star Wars, for example, and I'd imagine what would that be like. And so, I would have all these thoughts in my head. Along with that, I would read comic books. So, I have all these things that's feeding my creativity, and then I had my mind that wasn't tethered to anything that allowed me to kind of think creatively.
Right.
And yes, my father was an architect, so there was a sense of creativity there. My sister studied graphic design, and she's an amazing graphic designer. So there were people in my sphere that fostered it, or at least kind of understood what was going through my mind. So
of course.
I wasn't just this crazy kid.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about some of your early, more maybe pivotal experiences that may have led you down that route?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just recently wrote about this in an essay. One of my earliest, if not first, memories of creativity was a moment with my dad. So I haven't seen my dad. He's passed on since. The last time I saw him, I was 11. And so I remember one day I asked him to kind of just build me a Captain America shield, out of cardboard. And he was happily to do that, and it was cool. It was neat to watch him make this Captain America shield out of cardboard. And I was watching him kind of draw the circles, outer circles, and so on. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's going to draw a star in the middle, just like a Captain America shield.
Yeah.
But then he started to draw something else. He drew actually Captain America in the middle of that shield, like in an action pose.
Oh, cool.
And I remember there was this moment where I realized, oh, that's cool. Like, I was expecting it to be a star, but he didn't do a star. He drew actually Captain America, and it looks cooler, and it was more special because it was different.
And nobody else was going to have that.
Exactly. And it was just, looking back, of course, I can kind of think about it and I can articulate it, but I can look back and think that was probably the moment where I realized that's what creativity is about, where you don't have to follow the rules. You don't have to do what's expected.
Right.
And still come out of it in a really good place, or make it even better, And so that was really special to me. And, of course, along the way, I've watched him draw things. I watched my sister draw things. My other brother also is a great drawer. So I was kind of really influenced by those, all those people in my life.
You had mentioned a bit about comic books and being influenced by that early on, probably because of accessibility, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then how that may have led you to going into design school or art school, where we met.
Yeah. Well, so I don't necessarily talk much about this because I think it's funny. Originally, I actually thought I was going to be a comic book artist,
Did not know that.
Yeah. Because I, as a kid, I drew my own comics and drew my own sets, wrote my stories, and so on. And when I got accepted at CCS, Center for Creative Studies, now it's called College for Creative Studies.
Right.
I thought,
CCS.
The OG CCS. I thought to myself, oh yeah, it is it. My path is drawn. I'm gonna be a comic book artist. I'm in this amazing art school. And I remember walking into one of my first, art classes, and thinking, "Oh my gosh, everybody's so much more talented than me. Like, I'm literally the bottom of the barrel." And I just remember thinking, "What am I gonna do? Holy crap!"
Right, and it's super intimidating and very humbling all at the same time.
Absolutely, And that's not a cheap school to go to. So, Of course, in my head, it's like, how do I pivot from here? Because no way I can compete with these other people, just to share with your audience, like in our class alone, one of the illustrator is now, I think he's officially like one of George Lucas, Star Wars animator or illustrator. He has amazing work for that. So it's that kind of level and caliber of people. And I think that's where I really kind of I lean back onto my base, which is design, graphic design.
Of course.
Because graphic design is something that every one of those things, whether you're going to be an animator, an illustrator, a type designer, a director, a musician, whatever it is, creativity, like you need design to really design is what glues all of those things together.
Of course.
And so that's where really kind of found the value and inspired me to further lean into the graphic design space.
Can you talk a little bit about some projects that may have taught you something or a little bit of a leap in your education, even if they didn't succeed?
Yeah. Well, this isn't really a design project. It was more of kind of like a mission, almost like a Mission Impossible thing, weirdly enough. So first and foremost, it's like, us as creatives, we always have to take risk. Like risk and being brave and finding that level of courage to do something that we don't know whether we're going to succeed or not is an integral part of creativity, And so I remember the job that got me out of Detroit to California. So I've been working in Michigan at Campbell Ewald on the Chevy account for a good couple of years. And it was really just time for me to move on, see what else is out there.
Right.
Well, I got a job interview actually at an airport, because I was meeting the creative director as he was flying from Chicago to California. He did a stopover in Detroit to meet me.
Oh, that's great.
It was really awesome. It was like it was a movie story moment,
Sure.
where he looked at my portfolio at a terminal.
That's physical portfolio, correct?
Physical portfolio pre 9/11, so we were able to walk up to the terminal.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and I watched him get off the terminal, off the plane, and he sees me, and we go to an empty terminal. He looks through to my portfolio, and he's like, "Okay, we're finishing this at the bar." So we're having a drink.
What a great moment.
Right? And he's like, "Yep, I want to hire you. You're going to be part of the team," because he's building this team from the ground up here in California.
Sure.
To work on the Taco Bell account. Now, I grew up in Taco Bell, love it or hate it. That's what was my go-to college meal.
Oh, yeah.
And so I said, absolutely, yes. And he was like, well, I want you there by Monday.
Oh, my God.
Right? And I think it was like the interview was like on a Wednesday or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And
you have the weekend to pack.
right, exactly. When I finally signed the offer letter, it was like it was on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I got in my car on a Thursday. And I drove nonstop. This is pre, MapQuest or Google Maps.
Right.
I had a
No
trip,
GPS.
Right. I had a triptych. I don't know if you remember those things, right?
Of course.
I had no idea how long it was going to take me to drive from Michigan to California. I packed up my car. I packed up my dog. Packed up my motorcycle on a U-Haul trailer that I had installed on my Grand Am. But I drove for 2.5 days nonstop. And I showed up in his office door that Monday morning, and his jaw just dropped. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're here!" I go, "Yeah, we talked. I was going to be here." And from there on, he tells this story. His name is Anthony DiBiase, still a good friend of mine,
right.
mentor of mine. On that day, he realized if I need anything done, I need to count on somebody, I'm going to give it to Fernando, because no matter what, he will move heaven and earth to get it done.
Sure.
And that really set the tone of my career, my creative career, where, you may not know how you're going to do it or whether it's going to be a failure or not. You just got to do it, know.
Follow through is key.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, and let me pivot a little bit. There has been quite a few times where, I have a teaching opportunity comes up, and they would say, "Hey, are you willing to teach this design class? This capstone class, this graphic design history class?" And I've never done that, but let me go figure it out. And
right.
The answer is yes, first of all, and let me figure out the logistics afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of level of commitment, bravery, craziness, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I think has been an integral part of my creative career.
Well, I have to say that your willingness to just put yourself out there and try things has been a constant source of inspiration for me over the years. So it's why we're sitting here right now.
That's why I'm number one.
That's why you're number one
on the podcast list.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about what's inspiring you right now outside of the design world.
Yeah. Well, outside of the design world is really difficult for me because
Sure.
I feel like, I've continued to have the lifetime of fully integrating creativity, design, art into my world where it feels like there's no separation anymore.
To separate, sure.
But as far as what's inspiring me right now is actually the level of conversation and fear of the unknown of this thing called AI.
Oh yeah.
And truthfully told, this conversation is very, very familiar because we had the same exact conversation. Mm-hmm. When we were at school, and Adobe, Photoshop, Quark Express.
Photoshop was going to kill design.
Right. And now is AI totally is it different? Yes, of course it's different. It has more bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, it thinks, where Photoshop and all those programs doesn't necessarily think. You're still a thinker. So to me, that's interesting because, what does the saying say? Like, if you're a hammer, everything is a nail.
Exactly.
If you're a problem solver,
Yeah.
everything's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
So to me, that's interesting. I don't know what the answer is.
Right.
I don't know what the solution to these problems yet, and that doesn't scare me. If anything, that inspires me because then I'm like, well, let's go figure this out together.
Yeah. But it's another set of tools, and just like every other tool, hammer can be used to hit nails or nefarious acts.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And how fortunate are we where we're educators, and we get to set the tone with our students and the next generation of creatives.
Of course.
We either set the tone out of fear or we set the tone out of curiosity.
I think just like you like to inspire the curiosity and questioning of it rather than just the straight fear, because we can all put our heads underground, but that's not going to stop it from moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So can I ask you a little bit about, you've had what many would consider a multi-time successful career in lots of different avenues. Pretty much everything you put your foot into, you go all in on, and you come out with a measure of success. What does success look like to you now?
Wow. Okay. To me, what success looks like is how many, not even a quantifiable how many people, but how much can I inspire or help as many as I can. I've continued to have a very fortunate, fruitful, creative career, and truth be told, this is great, but I'm not going to take this with me. Like, when I'm quote unquote done, it's done. Like, I'm not going to take it with me. I'm not going to take the work, the art, the writing, the awards, the money. I'm not going to take that with me, So now really for me is how many people can I share this with? And I don't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm going to give you this art piece, or I'm going to give you this design.
Of course.
I'm talking like, how many can I share my story and have them use this as kind of like a triptych map?
Sure.
And give them, this is one guiding way, but that doesn't mean you need to follow it through the T. You make up your own. You go explore, but learn from the things that I've done and learned and failed at, so that you can continue to move forward past beyond me. Because I'm a father of young adults, and I share this with them all the time, is that they're meant to be better than me. They're meant to go further than I've gone, because I've helped them get as far as I could. And their job is to keep on moving forward, just like how my mom and my parents and my family has gotten me as far as they could. And it was my responsibility to take it further, which I think I did.
Yeah.
So to me, that level of success is at how many, as many people I can kind of get going with me, because then they'll move that forward on their own little way, in their own way.
Absolutely. There's a bit of design evangelizing or creative evangelizing, and seeing people that you've mentored or been involved with have successes. It's not that you feel like, oh, I'm responsible for this, but you know that being a part of their growth is important, and watching them succeed just kind of brings you joy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm, and I say this wholeheartedly, I say this to anybody that either reconnects back with me or I see their career. I am honored to have been a blip in their career.
Of course.
And of course they're so kind when they reconnect with me, and they're like, "Oh, Fernando, are you kidding me? You're more than just a blip." Right?
Right.
But I have to keep my ego at check.
Yeah.
Right? I can't be like, ooh, So I am honored to just have that moment with them, because, man, they have taken off and they've ran with it, you know.
We talked a little bit about AI, and that's obviously going to have some influences, but what do you think is important about design itself, particularly in response to that?
Yeah, yeah. You know, so I have been thinking a lot about that as far as like, okay, what is this new stage, new world looks like with this new technology making such a huge impact and influence in it. And, you know, to me, so far that what I've heard that I can kind of cling on to and I can agree to is that, you know, I wanna continue to inspire people to build their taste. And what I mean about that is this: AI is gonna produce so much work, and it's gonna produce it without thinking twice about it. You prompt it, you write it, it will do it, right? And it's gonna do it, you know, multiple times as long as you want it done.
It doesn't get tired.
Right. And this is where we come in. This is we as humans come into play, where we know what's good and what's bad. And how we know that is when we ourselves develop our own taste.
So becoming the arbiters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But understanding why it's good and why it's bad. And not just understanding it, but being able to articulate it.
Right.
You know, being able to sell it in, being able to inspire people to look at it differently than what it's actually being just presented, you know?
So that's also kind of a pivotal role for a designer to be in the prompting space, the front end of integrating things like AI, where we are setting the criteria because of our knowledge.
Now, so here's the fun part that I think, you know, not too many people are fully thinking about yet. So how do you develop that knowledge? How do you develop that taste?
Right.
Well, so far that I've learned or realized and even practiced on my own, the best way to, I like to say, fill up our cup of just taste and knowing what's good and what's bad, is go out there and experience, go out there and live, go out there and travel, go out there and read, go out there and have conversations with people. Like, be human. Be curious, and not just sit in one place and not just look at one avenue. Be out there and be an explorer, excavate. Be like Indiana Jones, right? Just go out and be adventurous, because through those level of experiences, various experiences, many levels of experiences, from like the really, really crazy experience to the, like, you know, that's not so crazy. That's just having coffee with someone,
Right.
It's still an experience. Through those things, you are going to fill up your cup of knowledge and wisdom and taste, so that when it's time for you and you're looking at 110 AI generated things that your team has put together, you know, or you have put together, you'll know, okay, this, like, 90% of it is shit. 10% is a good start.
Yeah.
And it's another thing too. It's just a start.
Exactly.
And that's where craftsmanship comes into play, where we now have to take what AI has started and take it all the rest of the way through.
Right.
You know?
You know, there's a bit of a correlation with photometric rendering over the last few years. You know, in my more specific industry of industrial design, 3D model was, you know, modeling and CAD was going to kill, you know, sculptors, you know, that sort of thing. It just made us think differently and how we could be more efficient, that sort of thing. And then photometric rendering came in, and it just happens instantly. The problem is you get people that leave the output as the defaults. And so everything either starts to look the same or it just doesn't look finished. And that's where, you know, creatives and designers with a skill for selling their ideas will take that extra effort, put in, whether it's additional photoshopping or tweaking the settings to really understand not just what the output is, but who's receiving it.
Right. Yep. And by the way, too, we've been here before many times.
Yeah.
Where technology has created this up ramp, and everybody, jumps into that bandwagon, whether it be the Industrial Revolution.
Exactly.
Right. Where you have the factory line, and everything's the same. What came out of that, is the arts and craft movement.
Yeah.
Right. Where craftsmanship becomes
it's a bell curve.
Right. It becomes this thing that people who can craft a table that is not manufactured becomes this beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, we've been here before where now it's the newest shiny thing, and everybody wants to jump on it, and everybody wants to do it. And then we should definitely jump in it. But know that there's going to be this moment where, like, okay, what's next?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And who's going to usher that what's next?
Yeah.
Or
what's going to usher what's next? Can you dive in a little bit more about getting your master's? Are there some realizations that have come from that whether it's influenced you creatively or just as a human?
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, so, yes, I'm currently in the back end of my second master's, my master in fine arts and graphic design.
Show off.
And this journey is life changing. Oh my gosh, man. I wrote this in one of my first papers where, when my family and I migrated to the United States, and I had to figure out, okay, again, a problem to solve. How do I now live in this foreign place where it's going to be, this is my now forever home?
Right.
Here I am, a foreigner. English was my second language, and totally different culture. And so I spent the last, or the first 20, 30 years of that, I call it shedding my Filipino-ness to become an American.
Right, a bit of assimilation.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%, And again, that was part of the problem-solving mindset, right?
Of course.
I needed to integrate myself into this new culture.
Michigan in the early 80s.
Oh, my gosh, right? Yeah, in Grosse Pointe, where I'm like one of like 4 Filipinos.
Right.
And so, I needed to kind of like, there was a lot of shedding. And on top of that, the educational system is catered towards, shedding that. Like, it's a very Eurocentric,
of course,
education, and we can talk about that in art history too. It's a very Eurocentric approach to art and design and history.
The entire study of art history is defined by Eurocentric thinking.
Yes, absolutely. And then I get into this program, and I have an opportunity, and somebody had planted a seed in my head of like, who are you as a Filipino? And for the last year and a half, I feel like I've been picking up what I've shedded.
Of course.
And went back into, studying Filipino history, and even not just Filipino history, but Southeast Asia history, Asian history, global history.
Right.
Because design history is global history.
Of course.
And so that has just totally changed my perspective. I feel like, and I've said this to my advisor, I feel like Neo. when you woke up in the real world.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I didn't know that I should have known. And to be honest with you, and I feel like I had to go through a little bit of therapy for myself because I was angry. I got really angry, and
What particularly spurned that on?
Yeah, because I was able to reveal and unroot and dive into just colonialism.
Oh, yeah.
And
that'll make you angry.
Yeah. Absolutely. And here's the hard part about this too, is that I have built a career and live, a good life.
Of course.
Kind of within that narrative.
Yeah.
I assimilated myself within that narrative,
Does it like bring up, am I now part of the problem?
Absolutely.
Am I extending it? That
Yep.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's
100%.
guilt along with anger as well. Yeah.
100%. 100%. And those are the things that I'm still reconciling with, figuring things out. And then to be honest with you, it's those moments of of guilt, anger, questioning. That's the recipe for just good content to write about.
Oh, of course.
Whether it be an article, a book, an essay, or my thesis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's a great palette. And again, I'm not trying to be what do you call it? Toxic positivity is it called, right? I want to be mindful of that, right? Because the question is okay, what do I do with this now? Do I come out of this angrier, or being, or do I just keep it all to myself, or do I again kind of paint over it, gloss over it? So I'm still very much reconciling all that. I do the one thing that I do know, and this is I think embedded in me, is the best way for me to do anything is one, dive full force in, head deep in, just like everything I've done.
You've never been shying away from hard things.
Right. And two, be as transparent as I can. I want to invite people on this journey as I figure this out myself. I'm not always going to say the right things. Once in a while, maybe I might say something profound. I don't know. But you're going to, if you're interested, come along the journey with me. I'll be as transparent as possible with it.
Great. Yeah. If you could redesign one moment in your career, is there one? What would it be?
That's a funny question, because my crazy mind believe that there is a thing called the multiverse.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. I do think
call back to comic books here.
Right.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Where I do believe that every possible, I wish I would have changed that. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have taken that path. Does exist. A Fernando exists in that path.
Okay.
Because there are unlimited amount of things that like this Fernando that you're talking to right now.
Right.
I can look back oh yeah, you know what? I wonder what would it be like if I would have stayed at Warner Brothers for a longer period of time, as opposed to just bailing out because it just wasn't my vibe.
Right.
Guess what? There's a Fernando that's living that life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not even mad at him. I'm not hating on him. I'm not, it gives me this level of comfort that there's a Fernando living that life. Because guess what? That Fernando living that life, maybe they're part of a bigger, studio now. Maybe that Fernando was part of the Skydance Paramount merger that just happened, right? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this. That Fernando was probably thinking, what would it be like if I would have just left that Warner Brother job sooner?
Sure.
And I hope he would be like, you know what? That Fernando is living his life, and he's sitting across his good friend Max talking about this. See how crazy that sounds, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that's just it, to kind of answer that question. It's like,
it helps you to live with less regrets.
Yes.
And kind of understanding that decisions are made at a time because that's the decision that needed to be made.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and it also gives me the permission to not say that was the wrong decision. And isn't that all we're looking for? Is just permission to give ourselves to be like, dude, it's okay. It was okay. You get it. I get it. You kind of regret that a little bit, but it's okay. And now take comfort that there is a Fernando version that's living that. That's a book in there somewhere.
Thank you so much, Fernando. This has been great. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me, help me launch this, and thank you, brother.
Oh, man, this was really awesome. Thank you.